like, that's a good point, dude. If I'm at home alone and I'm watching a funny movie and it makes me laugh, there's something almost kind of empty about the fact that I'm laughing. You're right, dude. You're right. It's a social activity.
Yeah.
It's so much more fun to laugh with people, for you all to find the same thing funny. That's it. To the point to where if you find something funny and the person next to you doesn't, your buddy next to you, you poke him with your elbow. Huh?
Yeah. Did you not get it? Do I need to explain the joke?
I know. Let me pause it for a second. See, here's what happened.
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
Laughter. We'll talk about laughter.
Okay.
Yeah. Today laughter is, we actually mentioned it a little bit in the last podcast, just briefly, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did we just do? We just did it.
We did a podcast about legacy.
Legacy, right?
That's right. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. Thumbs up and stuff.
Yeah, I did the 5 stars.
Thanks.
We one of the things I had mentioned is that I kind of want to be remembered for the ability to make people laugh, right? I want to be remembered for a couple things, but the ability to make people laugh. And it just dawned on me, man, like laughter in itself, just the concept of it. You realize, like, to our knowledge, we really are legitimately the only species that does this. Right?
Are we really?
Have you ever heard a dog like?
No, sometimes it looks like they're.
Sometimes it does,
but they're not actually making any noise.
No, they're just happy. You know what I mean? Like when I rub Kevin Bubbles Malone refrigerator.
You made that long name just
for moments like
this moment right now.
That's right. When I rub his belly, dude, and he shows his teeth like he's super happy. That's all well and good. But there's not laughter because
there's gotta be.
I don't think so, because I think laughter calls for a certain level of consciousness. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's even the right verbiage or whatever, but there's something about it that makes humans so very unique in our ability to do it. I don't think, unless, like I said, to our knowledge, I don't think any other species partakes in what laughter is, because it is a different level of consciousness. It's a different. In fact, okay, have you seen the movie Johnny Five? It's brand new.
No, I'm like, yeah, Midas saw that when I was 8.
It's like 35 years old, like quite literally.
Oh gosh, then the math almost checks out.
It's super. I kind of want to check it out now. I can't look at it.
We don't have devices here.
No, we don't. We have to put them out there, so don't do buzzing to the microphones. Anyways, there's a scene where they're basically, so anybody who doesn't know what Johnny Five is, it's essentially it's AI, right? There's a robot that's made that becomes self-aware. And we're really trying to, the humans are trying to determine, is this thing actually self-aware? And they're trying to come up, and Steve Gutenberg comes up with an idea of, oh my, got it. We're going to tell it a joke and see if it laughs. So he tells a joke, and it was kind of a dumb one, but he tells it a joke, and you see the robot just kind of stare at him, and then the robot just starts busting up laughing.
Yeah, it took a second to get it. I remember that scene.
And that was such a critical scene, because that was their way of saying the ability to laugh is in itself a different level of consciousness, right? And I think that's why we enjoy it. So that's one of the reasons I enjoy it so much, because the ability to laugh is one thing. I think the ability to make others laugh is something entirely different. And I kind of want to, I'm going to pass the mic to you in a second here, but I want to correct something that we talked about in the last stream, Legacy. I was talking about the Imp And Skizz legacy. I'd like us to be known for this and that and all that. And I talked about that, there was duos before us, and I pointed out, Abbott and Costello. I referenced them as like being one of the first, and the whole time I was saying it, my brain's like, no, dude, you're out of context here. They're not, they're wonderful. They're one of the greatest, but it's before them. And then it wasn't until we were done recording. I'm like, Laurel and Hardy, dude. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, and even then I'm curious.
I did not remember it. Then comments are probably.
Oh, I got lit up, I'm sure. And that's fine. That's fine. Let me have it. But my point being that like laughter and its impact on our culture, I think is, and what makes something funny is also a moving target, right? There's so much genius behind what an actual, have you ever really sat down and watched the Three Stooges? The Three Stooges are, they're known, the reason everybody knows what the Three Stooges are is because they were, maybe they were arguably the first actual physical comedy. I really don't know But they had such genius behind what they did that if you ever actually sit down and just drop all your baggage in regards to, technology and lighting and all that stuff and just enjoy what's happening with these people, you end up like sort of succumbing to what the populace found funny back then. And it's like funny all over again. You know what I mean? So now I'm going to ask you, Dippledop.
Okay.
Because one thing we do share, and this is not unique, I think most people enjoy this, is you do enjoy making people laugh. I know you do. I think most
not
people
as good as you are, but
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think I can have my moments, and I think you could have your moments. But what is it that why do you find so much joy out of causing laughter in others?
Oh, I think it's just a mood changer, right? Like somebody could be in a bad mood, and if you can somehow break through that shell and get them to laugh, like suddenly whatever it was that they were in a bad mood about is just like gone and lifted, and you can just see like a transfer of energy happen.
Yeah,
it's energy. I'm not like so much into like this whole like aura stuff or anything like that, but I do believe that like we give off energy, and we talked about that too, like how when you're streaming, you really exude a lot of energy and stuff like that. And so I feel like that laughter, getting somebody to laugh, like it just changes their energy level.
Yeah.
And it's like that, and then that I get a return on that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I wasn't prepared for your question because I was too busy thinking about that level of consciousness thing that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You realize babies, like day-old babies, have the ability to laugh.
Well, I don't know about a day old.
Days old. I mean, early on, it's there. So like this whole idea that like laughter is innate in humans is like from pretty much the day you were born, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
It's so cute too.
That.
A baby's laughter is like the cutest thing in the world. And you can be doing some of the silliest stuff, right? Just like a game of Picky-Boo. And they just lean into that laughter. That was a really good point, man, is that from such a young age, the brain is still able to, for lack of a more deep phrase, find something funny.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my dad's actually the one who, like, I was very young, and he pointed out, he's like, there's no other species that actually, laughs. He's like, what is laughter? What is it? And it got me thinking at a really young age. I'm like, what the crap is going on? What is it? Somebody does something, and all of a sudden you're just like, like it's like this ridiculous response, but it feels.
Oh my gosh!
good.
Imagine like aliens came down to Earth and they witness us laughing, like what they must think.
Well, maybe
these people are weird.
I'm sure that they.
That's what they would. Yeah, we're having a conversation about laughter, but laughter causes you to cough. This was a good choice.
Yeah, I'm a little sick. Well, hold on. If the aliens have the technology to get down here, then I'm willing to bet that they also have the consciousness to where they can laugh too. But maybe
what if laughter's not a thing?
But what if it is?
What if there's something totally different that they do?
A different level, or maybe their laughter doesn't.
What if instead of laughing they cough?
What if I'm an alien? What if they just like?
I've always wondered.
When they find something funny, what if they just like, instead of what we do as laughing, they're just like you know what I mean? Something completely different.
You do that too. You're definitely an alien. Leather.
Shut up. I'm not an alien. This is a Minecraft thing. So I think about it, and I talked about it, like I said in the last podcast, but I really enjoy making people laugh because for a very similar reason as what you just talked about. It brings a positive. It brings a positive mood. And I remember, I wonder if I should talk about this. I'm thinking, yes, I'm going to do it. And
every time we get to the point in the podcast where you're like, I'm not sure if I should talk about it. The answer is always yes.
No, don't you throw my words
at me. The answer is
me.
always yes.
There's been plenty of times where I've like 2 times where I was like, no, I'm actually not going to bring that up. That's too much or whatever. But Imp And
Skizz Unfiltered.
I thought
it's a new channel we're going to make.
For the longest time, people would be like, who are these guys? Anyways, for the longest time, I thought that laughter was the only thing I had to offer. I thought it was what I was supposed to do. This is a long time ago. I was there was a funeral. We're getting there. There was a funeral. And then there was like, after a funeral, people, I mean, I hate to use the word reception, but that's sort of what it is, right? People gather and people bring food and all that. And somebody had asked me like, hey, can you do your thing today? Because it's going to be a somber environment. And the the person who had passed, like, you have a lot of great stories. So do your thing. Remind everybody of the good times. I was like, okay. And so I did. And so at the reception, I didn't like get up on a stage and do all that. I just kind of had casual, fun conversations. And I was making people laugh. And it was an environment where, it was the right environment where laughter turned into tears. Mm-hmm. And part of me was like, should I be doing this right now? I mean, this is what I was kind of asked to do. And I think that's good. And I'm telling stories that are reminding everybody of the wonderful times, of this individual, and everybody's, and I'm looking, I'm like, everybody's in a good nostalgic mood right now, and I think it's a healthy one, until the widow came out and had a meltdown over it, and I was like, oh, this is the worst I've ever felt in my life.
Oh wow,
yeah, and I was like, this is the worst I've ever felt in my entire life. I remember this, dude. I remember being like, and I think that was the day where I realized, like laughter has a power of misdirection that maybe I was a little bit irresponsible with, you know what I mean? And so I started to realize there were times where, if I was, fighting with, my girlfriend or who, eventually ended up becoming my wife, I would always try to turn it into humor, and that's not right either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's unfair. It's unfair.
Try to diffuse situations with humor.
Diffuse it with laughter, right? And that's kind of unfair. That's an unfair thing to do, and it sort of taints what laughter is supposed to be about. But I think those are the times when I started to realize that not only is laughter a component that makes us so very unique, but it is sort of needs to almost be dealt with in a responsible manner. For lack of a better phrase. I'm somebody who thinks that nothing's off limits when it comes to humor. I really do believe that. Now, to that end, there's plenty of things that I think are off limits. I do. That's what I think. You know what I mean? I think you crossed a line. Doesn't mean you did. I think you crossed a line. But I enjoy the journey of it. And I've had so many people, bro, like who find me funny, say, why don't you do stand-up comedy? And I'm like, because it's not what you think. Stand-up comedy.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, I was going to say, did you ever have the dream that you would be a stand-up comedian?
Oh yes, I don't have the stones. I want to.
I do remember though. You had like a notebook, or you would record yourself on a thing, and it was like you were keeping track of what would make good like bits.
Yeah,
but you never said like, oh, that'd be a good stand-up bit. You always said that's going in the movie.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah,
and I was like, you're making a movie? What's this movie about? You're like, dude, I got a list of stuff. It'd be super funny.
Well, all of my buddies and I always did that. We talked about, that's going in the movie. It was just like a phrase we came up with. But I started to realize, so stand-up comics to me is the bravest form of laughter, if you will, because it really is. It's really humor science, is what it is. And I don't think I've got the chops for that. I don't think I have the skill set for it. It's a very different version of what funny is. And there's a show called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and it's about stand-up comedy back in at the era, I believe it. I don't know, man. If I feel like it's the 30s or 40s, I could be way off here, but I think it's like the 20s, 30s, or 40s. And it's this female stand-up comic who's very, very talented, but it goes through how the science behind it to where she will literally do a bit, and her agent, played by Alex Borstein, who does the voice for Lois on Family Guy. She will do a bit, and then they will study the audience, and then they'll do the same bit the next show or the next night, and they'll change the inflection on one word, and okay, how'd that go? And they'll change the inflection on another word. Oh, that went the other direction. Like they do this, and they do that today. If you ever look at like the live recording of a sitcom, right? It's the same stuff where they have somebody studying the audience. And I remember one of my favorite behind the scenes, it's not a blooper, but one of my favorite BTS moments with Friends was there was a scene where Ross and Rachel were in Vegas, and they got totally tanked, and they ended up getting, married. And somebody's like, I didn't even know that they were dating again. And Chandler's line that is written for him is, well, I don't think they're dating as much as they're drunk. Like that was the line. And then the audience was like, and so they were like, cut. And they're like, try it this way or whatever. And they did it, and they changed something else. And then the audience was like, and then they finally went to Matthew Perry. They're like, what do you think we should say? So he studies it, and he's like, how about, I don't think that they're dating as much as they are two bottles of vodka walking around in human form. And they're like, oh God, go with that, dude. So they did the whole scene again, and he did that. Audience lost it. That's humor science. You know what I mean? And that's the type of stuff where I'm like, I think I'm more of a quirky, on the spot, witty dude, and kind of just a weird dude or whatever. But the real stuff just, whew.
Yeah. Even then, like, humor is different for everybody, like what they find humorous. Like, my wife is not a huge Jim Carrey fan, but you and I both are, because it's kind of like, I don't want to say acquired taste, but it's definitely a taste, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like some people like milk chocolate and some people like dark chocolate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like both, but but it's kind of like that with humor too. Like there are different forms of humor, and like there are people, and I'm sure you've seen comments where it's just like people either absolutely love you and your style of humor, or they don't.
Right? Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's always that, and I don't think it's the same as everything. It's like you're never going to please everyone, no matter what you do, right? So it would be nice to not care.
Yeah, and I don't care, but I mean, I just want to be funny to a lot of people because I like the feeling of laughter. I mean, how many times have you and I, and I'm willing to bet people listening are thinking they're going to recall times in their lives, but how many times have you and I, like, we've had laughter to where neither one of us is making a noise.
Yeah.
We say dying with laughter. I've had moments, bro, where I'm like, I'm actually dying with
almost
laughter.
Blacked out because oxygen has not been inhaled in a while.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
And my brain's like, you need to stop and get some air, homie. And there's also setting is everything. How many times have we been like back in the day, in class where you're not supposed to be laughing? Us and our buddy Drew, we had stories that we can't necessarily talk about.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
Oh man, hold on.
What did we say? Imp and Skizz Unfiltered, Imp and Skizz After Dark. What do we call on this channel that's going to get us canceled?
I know. Our Imp and Skizz farewell. That works. Yeah. So Drew used to do stuff in class that we can't talk about now, but there were times, okay, you know what? Okay, here's a moment where you're not supposed to be, you're not supposed to laugh in class, right? And there's something about when you're not supposed to laugh, everything gets that much funnier.
Yeah.
And we had a teacher that would, for some reason, in between sentences, she would go,
She'd make this face.
This face.
We gotta explain it for the listeners.
Yeah.
Her face would like get so tight that she would like make what we called an O face.
Yeah.
Because like her mouth would form like a perfect
like
circle.
a tiny little Cheerio.
Yeah.
And this was just in between. And you know me, dude, my thing is I find these like little nuances of idiosyncrasies.
I don't even struggle with that word.
Yeah. And I find them and
I hate you for it.
I know what I
absolutely hate you for it.
I know, and I love that you hate me for it. Because I'm like, oh, this will ruin Impulse's day. Impulse.
Yeah.
Watch when she does this. And then you can't not see it.
Right.
And I pointed it out to Drew. I don't know if you were part of this equation, but I pointed it out to Drew. And I'm like, dude, every time she stops talking, her mouth turns into a tiny Oreo or a Cheerio. And then he's looking, and then she was just like talking about what the next lesson was going to be. And she goes into a little O. He starts losing it. So now he is like, okay, so I'm laughing. Now it's taken hold of me. This is the part of laughter that intrigues me. It's taken over my body. I'm going to put my head down, and I'm just going to try to laugh quietly until this is done. And so he's doing it, and then he collects himself, and he looks up, and she's looking right in his eyes with that face. And he starts outright laughing. He tries to whisper to me, I can't stop laughing. But instead he's all, I can't stop laughing. Like, because everything was constricted, And I remember I was like, this is another example of laughter having like this weird power over us. That's so very welcome. I like it almost anytime. Almost anytime.
I like when I'm able to make you laugh. Most of the time I make you laugh, though, I'm not even trying to be funny.
I know.
Like I'll just say something and then it comes out and what's that gonna do? There it is. And like when I say these things, I don't expect you to bust up laughing. But then when you do, I realize, oh dang, that actually is kind of funny. You're like, okay.
Dang it! Stop making me laugh.
Why did I told you. Let's pick a podcast topic that you can't handle.
I know, I can do it. I can
recovering over there.
Well, see, now the thing is, the what's that going to do? That was one of those moments where I was legitimately not trying to be funny. That was the original. What's that going to do? Was on one of our Minecraft episodes.
Yeah.
And you're like, now we can start doing this. And then you bone meal the grass and these flowers grew. I'm like, whoa, what's that going to do? And you lost it. And ever since then, that's been like your go-to phrase. What's that going to do?
Yeah. Because it reminds you of that moment. And yeah, you said something that didn't come across as what should be funny, but like because of I was just shocked at like the situation. Yeah. You know, and that's what a lot of humor is, catching people off guard.
Oh yeah.
You know.
It is, and it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know how you break apart what makes something funny. Like if you were to actually scientifically find out how does that equal, what's the math equation behind this equaling something funny? And it's
I don't know how you can, because like I just said, like humor, people have different styles of humor. So you can't, I mean, you can figure out like, okay, most people should find this funny.
Yeah.
And then especially if you're like with a group of people, it's kind of like that effect of like if one person starts to laugh and then it just kind of infects everybody with that, you know, around them, then they're going to just join in.
Yeah.
I think you get a lot of that in like, you know, movie theaters and musicals and things like that.
Yeah. It's like a social, that's a good point, dude. If I'm at home alone and I'm watching a funny movie and it makes me laugh, there's something almost kind of empty about the fact that I'm laughing. You're right, dude. You're right. It's a social activity. Yeah. It's so much more fun to laugh with people, for you all to find the same thing funny. That's it. To the point to where if you find something funny, and the person next to you does it, your buddy next to you, you poke him with your elbow. Huh?
Yeah. Did you not get it? Do I need to explain the joke?
I know. Let me pause it for a second. See, here's what happened. I was just going to say something, and then my brain went wonky. What was I going to say, Impulse?
You should be drinking coffee like me.
I already drank all my coffee. Oh, that's right. Good timing. I want to talk about timing. That's another thing that makes, you know, humor real is timing. Yeah. And there seems to be an actual science with that. So like when I'm editing my episodes and I'm putting together something that I want to come off as funny, there's times where I will cut to the thing. The cut is what is going to be funny about it. And I go and I cut and I'm like, okay, that was kind of funny. Not as funny. Why? I cut too late. Let me go back. Shave a 1/10 of a second off. Oh, almost. Go back. Shave another 1/10. Oh, there it is. You know what I mean? It's like this weird thing to where there's almost like this weird understanding to the cadence needed for that particular moment. Right. And there was I had a segment in an old episode. I actually I think the title was Manufacturing Humor, because there was a scene I put together where like every single bit of that scene was specifically designed to set up the next scene that was designed to set up the coup de grace of what the humor was going to be. And I remember putting that together and being like, I just have all these clips and all these ideas and it's almost there, but let me move this way a little bit and just a little bit more. Let's do that. You know what I mean? It's like all these things to where I'm trying to dissect what makes something funny. And and sometimes you're going to miss, but there's something golden about the fact that two buddies can hang out and there's no thought put into it. There's just laughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right about timing, though. I was just thinking about something in my last Hermitcraft episode last week, and I was trying to kill Scott Major with anvils. It was part of this tag game, and I had like accidentally dropped an anvil on myself, and he turned around and he was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just dropped something." And then right then, and this was just sheer dumb luck.
It was luck.
Because the anvils had been falling for about 3 days. So it was just sheer dumb luck that like right when I said, "Yeah, I dropped something," right then it happened to hit him. And I was like, at that moment, I'm like, I couldn't be any luckier with the timing of that hit, because like that made it so much more funny. And I was editing it back and found myself laughing out loud to myself. And you know, it's just that like it's had like another second gone by, or even half a second between me saying, "Oh, I dropped something in the anvil," it'd be way less funny. It'd still be funny, because I killed him with anvils. But
you know, and that's that. And I think so. We were doing one of the life series. This is another good moment of just like accidental timing that made something funny. It wasn't me. This one was B-Dubs. And this was a live series where I kind of created the team best, right? B-Dubs, Ethos, Skizz, Tango. And our whole premise was we were the heroes of the server and we were going to make things right or whatever. Well, we also needed to have a dangerous component to us. So I wanted us to be able to set up a TNT launcher and tear it down like a pit crew, like a Formula 500 pit crew. And when we worked on it, it was like like obviously the first time we made it, it took us like 25 seconds. And they're like, that was pretty fast. I'm like, no, this is going to get done in 3 seconds. Like that's the whole premise of this. Like we're all going to have our roles or whatever. So we figured it out, and Etho helped like in a big way. Everybody chipped in regards to I'll do this part, you do that part. Next thing we know, we have this thing to where B-Dubs was going to start it. B-Dubs is gonna place the last block, and the first block, and that block is going to determine where all the other blocks go. And we all have our pieces. We know what we're doing. And Etho, you're TNT because you're the genius here. You know about the timing and everything, right? So this is what we're going to do. And do it again, tear it down, do it again, tear it down, do it again. And Martin was actually watching us. We didn't know it. And he's like, dude, what have I stumbled upon? This is awesome, right? We were really into it. All right, let's fast forward. So we were all excited about it. Now we're going to go show it off. And it's the time. It's time to go, dude. And so Green comes walking by. I'm like, Green, you're going to want to see this. This is going to be good. So now I'm a little nervous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I really want my team to just crush this. And I'm like, all right, B-Dubs on you, because he's got to get us started. And this is B-Dubs. He gets all amped up. He's like, all right, you ready? He's like, let's do this. And he places the first block and falls off the cliff. So the way he does it, dude, he's like, here we go. And I fell. Like, it was just like so funny, dude. And I just started rolling. I was like, he didn't even plan that. That's actually why I laughed so hard in our latest Skyblock Evolution episode. It was because the mansion thing, right? We got all this chaos and everything was going, and you had a moment you're like, yeah, we got it, and I fell. Like you fell through like a single hole. And it just reminded me of that moment. Like for some reason, like the way that the planets aligned specifically for like, and that's the other thing. Sometimes things happen that just by accident, and they're the funniest thing in the world. Okay, dude, my wife and I were hanging out in the pool. This is last summer, and Kevin Bubbles Malone, Refrigerator, Jimmy Mad Dugan was over on the cool deck, and he was just like kind of sitting there.
One dog, by the way.
Yeah, it's one dog, and he's the best dog. He's a red Roddy. I love him. Anyways, he's over on the cool deck, and there is a piece of newspaper had made its way into the pool, and by a piece I mean it was like the size of like a silver dollar, right? It wasn't very big. And my wife was standing on the steps at the time, and she decided, I'm going to pick this up with my toes, and I'm just going to fling it out of the pool. That's what I'm going to do, right? Now, the thing is, where I live, there's like this weird vortex on the outside of my property because it's a cul-de-sac. Everybody's garbage ends up in my backyard. It's super. Anyway, so that's why there's this little floating piece of newspaper. So she reaches out with her toes, and she grabs this, and she just flings it, and it's a wet chunk of newspaper, and it just goes right on Kevin's head, dude. Just like on his forehead, right between his eyes. And to the where he kind of like sort of knew something was on him, but he didn't know it. He just sort of, I've never seen a dog go cross-eyed before. Like he was just like, what is this? Dude, her and I lost it. Nobody was trying to be funny. It's just the universe came together just to remind us, like this is another aspect of what it is to be human, and you're going to enjoy this moment. And you ready for this? I kept that little piece of newspaper, dude. What? I kept it. I still have it.
Just so every time you look at it, you can remember.
I can remember that moment, and I'm really mad because what I wanted to do, I went to take a picture of him. I was going to take a picture of him and then keep the newspaper and then frame the picture with that newspaper in it. But he shook it off before I was really bummed. I don't want to talk about it.
It's funny, like you mentioned, your wife, and I was thinking about my wife as well. And my wife is not easy to make laugh.
Yeah,
like her humor.
She's a tough nut to
crack.
Her
humor and my humor is a bit different. But I manage to do so every once in a while, and it's just every time I get her to laugh, it just fills me with so much joy.
Yeah,
myself. And I think it's more just a me thing. Like I needed that. Like I needed to be reminded that I can be funny, and if I can get her to laugh, then obviously I'm doing something right because it's not easy. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, I think same way with your wife, right? Like we've been with them so long that they're probably just like used to our humor, and like it's hard to make it becomes more of a challenge as time goes on to like find something that they haven't already heard to make them laugh. It feels better when you make somebody laugh whom has become almost immune to you, or is kind of not necessarily known to be somebody who does laugh. And I mean, I've known people in my life where I'm like, I'm not sure I've ever seen this person laugh, and they become my Everest, and if I can get a chuckle out of them, I feel accomplished. But I'm trying to think, here we go again. Am I really going to tell this story? I'm doing it. Okay. The answer is always yes.
This story it's not even raunchy. It's a little raunchy, but, so just keep in mind, this is the PG-13 part of the, so everybody lean in.
The non-PG-13 part will be on our new channel.
This is
People are going to believe we have a new channel. Right?
I know. We don't have a new one yet, but just bear with us. So my wife is driving. This is a long time ago. This what I'm going to be telling you is the time and this is the hardest I've ever made my wife laugh. She starts talking about, she's like, what is it when boys are reaching down, like grabbing their crotch? Like, because let me just be clear. She's a teacher and she would keep score at basketball games. And she's like, the coaches, the players, they're always like not in their basketball shorts, but like they're always grabbing. I'm like, I don't know. And she's sitting there. She's like, well, what is it? Like, what are they doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I couldn't be less interested in whatever this nonsense is. Right. We're driving, like she's the one driving and I'm literally thinking about something else. And she's like, it's just like, it's constant. And she's just like going on and on. She's like, they're always like, just kind of like grabbing something. And I'm actually at this point getting legitimately kind of irritated with the question. And I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm like, I don't know. I've said it several times. And finally I'm like, babe, I don't know. Maybe they're separating the beans from the Frank. I got no idea. Dude, like I wasn't trying to be funny at all. I just like all those words just rolled off my tongue. Right. And dude, it was at the point where I was like, you might want to pull over because she couldn't see through her tears. I've never, ever seen her laugh like that. And I realized, I think I might have a little bit more to learn about my wife. I can't believe she finds this that funny, but her laughter ended up making me laugh too. You know?
Oh man. So, we talked about like, okay, sometimes you're funny when it's calculated. Sometimes you're funny when you're not trying to be.
Right.
There's also times when it's just people just have like a straight up brain fart. And those moments are usually pretty funny.
Yeah.
You do know where this is going.
Yes, dang it. I actually know what you're talking about.
All right. Now, I'm going to try to tell this story. I'm not always the best at remembering things, so fill in the gaps or correct me if I screw this up. But
you've made mistakes too, you know.
Oh, I make them all the time. But we were driving somewhere, I think, and we were like at a stoplight, and there was like on the outside of the windshield, there was a bee. And you started to contemplate, why is it called a bumblebee? Right? Am I getting it right?
No.
Not backwards? Is it backwards?
I said, what do bees have to do with gum?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. What do bees have to do with gum? And I was like, what are you talking about? Bubble gum, bumblebees. What? And I, when those moments happen, I like. Somehow you transferred like your brain fart to me because like the gears literally started grinding. I'm pretty sure people thought I was having car problems. You could hear the gears in my head just come to a screeching halt, and I'm like, "What is he on about? Bumblebees, bumblebee?" And then it caught to me. I'm like, "Wait, he forgot that they're actually called bumblebees."
Yes.
And so I said it. I'm like, do you mean bumblebees?
That was the worst, dude.
And I was lost it after that.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't believe.
Because you're all, do you mean to say bumblebee? And my brain's like, uh-oh. You know what I mean? And then I was like, of course, my brain's like, of course we meant bumblebee. And it's like it's reaching out to the archives department. And my brain, it's like, who said the word bubble? And there was one guy's like, I'm sorry, I just walked in. I didn't know what we were talking about. I was like, oh boy, I hope this doesn't end up on a podcast one day.
Right? Yeah. Oh man.
Then there's the time that I almost sent somebody to the hospital with laughter. I've talked about this before. You know him too. He's one of our favorite people in the world, Tom Wong. Mm-hmm. Right? I just said both names because I'm sure it's a relatively common name. I love this guy. He's one of my favorite people ever. And this was a time where him and I, we went to the gym at work. And there was this stretch machine. And I remember as a kid, I always remember thinking this would be a good idea because I always wanted to be able to like do the splits for some reason. I don't know why. Probably when Jean-Claude Van Damme did it. Who cares? There was this,
I could see you in between two semis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
The best way to ride on two semis. There was this apparatus where basically you would sit in it and your each leg would go into its own little channel. And there was like a lever or like a wheel or something that you would crank. It was like a ratchet tie. And you would go in one direction and would like go click, 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 click out, right? And just a very, very small amount, and then you would stretch it. And the premise is you sit there for X amount of minutes and then you release it. And next day you go maybe one click further or whatever it is. Well, I probably should have looked at the directions on how to use this thing before I tried to use it. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, I don't know. So I'm not trying to be funny. And And I'm like, oh, I think I know what this is. And so I put my legs in it and I like, I'm like, oh, click, click, click. Oh man, is it stretching? He's like, doesn't that hurt? I'm like, a little bit. It's a good stretch though. And, my legs are splitting, like, splitting.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I want to get out of this thing. So I like go to like do the lever to get out of it, but I end up making it split more. I'm like, oh, whoa. And he's like, whoa, what's going on? I'm like, dude, I'm stuck. And I'm like, I don't know how to get out of this. And so he starts kind of laughing. I'm like, don't touch it. And he's like, maybe it's that little lever. So I move the lever and I do it again. I'm like, ah! And I end up, every time I try to get myself out, I end up splitting my legs more. Now he's no help because he cannot stop laughing. So I'm like, I'm panicking. I'm starting to panic. I'm like, I got to get out of this thing, dude. Oh, there it is. Pull that lever. Let's do the, and it just keeps on like going. So and he's not even touching anything. I'm just torturing myself, dude. So as I'm doing this, he's just absolutely losing it, dude. And I love it. You know what I mean? I love what's happening here, but I'm like, I'll enjoy this later. Right now I'm in searing pain. I got to get out of this thing. And I finally end up getting out. So here he is laughing. And now he's actually on the ground. And as he's laughing, there's this weird, kind of a subtle panic washes over his face, and he's clutching his midsection. Uh-huh. And I'm like, you just got a cramp. He's like, no, it's not, dude. It's something else. And I'm like, what's going on, dude? And he is still sort of laughing, but the laughter is starting to fade. And he's like, and I'm like, dude, do I call 911? What is this? And he's on the ground in this like fetal position, and he's clutching like his rib cage, just going, and I'm like, dude, what am I supposed to do, man? And so he breathes, he calms down. I just sit there with him. About 5 minutes later, he's able to slowly like just kind of relax everything and get up. He's like, dude, what was that? Like now it's like not really, I mean, it's funny now, but it was like, that was kind of weird. Like that was awesome, but weird. I'm like, dude, I almost killed you with laughter. He starts to laugh. He's like, stop it. No. Right? So now we fast forward the clock. It's like a month later, and it's a fun story to be had. And our whole team is going to lunch. And we had enough people to where we took 2 cars. And one of the cars was like a van. And I'm in the van, and Tom's in the van. And I'm just going on one of my rants where I'm just making the whole van just laugh, right? I'm just doing a bit, or I don't know, whatever. I'm a goofball. I'm doing it, and he starts pleading right away. He's like, please don't, please don't, please don't. And enough time had gone by to where I forgot how horrifying it was, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing this. And he's laughing, and he starts to clutch himself again. He's like, stop it. And he's like laughing. And then we get to a red light. He hops out of the van and goes to the car behind us. And he pops in. They're like, what's going on? And he's like, F and Skizz. And they're just like, what, something happened? Because I'm not somebody who you get upset. He's like, he's making me laugh, and it hurts. And he's like being serious, like it hurts. He knows he can't do that to me. Like he was like, actually, it was like, dude, it was like one of the proudest moments of my life. I'm like, I'm using this as an actual weapon.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Batman has like all these gadgets. Yours is just one, and it just says laughter.
It's just laughter.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, though, dude. That's the power of it.
You should have told him about bumblebees.
No, never. Never. That's not, I'm going to edit that part out. No, I won't. I'll leave it in.
Man, I felt so powerful a couple podcasts ago where I got to edit it. And I was like, I can choose whatever moments I want.
Yeah.
I was nice. I was good about it.
No, you did great.
Oh man. Yeah. Actually going through some of the previous podcasts we did, like we've had some funny moments, and we've had a lot of funny moments together, through our streams and all the naked and scared stuff that we've done. I mean, we've had so many moments where I'm surprised we make each other laugh at all anymore.
It still is great. We still have a good dynamic there. You still crack me up, dude. And it's you're like almost never trying to when you make me laugh. It's your dry like delivery. I love your over the top frustration with me. That just makes me so gleeful when I do something that's just like, oh man, I really messed up again. And you're like, I
ain't got time for that stuff, man.
So
you try to teach me though. There's always time for a joke.
There's always time for a joke.
Always time.
And there we go. So that's a buddy of mine, a very good friend of mine, one of the funniest people I know. My buddy Rob. Back in the day, him and I. This is no joke, dude. This is where there's always time for a joke. This is where it was born. We wanted to play racquetball, and in order to play racquetball. That day, like you had to have white-soled shoes, and neither one of us had white-soled shoes. And we
because they don't want you marking up the court.
That's correct.
The indoor racquetball
Indoor
courts usually
racquetball.
like wood floors, and they don't want
That's
you
right. Yeah.
marking them up. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're like, okay, we already have our time, and if we're like 5 minutes late, we're gonna lose our time because there's people like on standby and stuff. We have to go buy shoes, and I'm like, dude, it's not gonna happen. We're going to miss our window. He's like, we can do this. We're gonna shoot over to the store. We're gonna buy a pair of shoes, like really cheap white soled shoes. We're gonna hop back in the truck and we're gonna beeline it for the gym. We can do this. And it's like, we're just straight up, this is business. Get in the truck, let's go. So we get in and we're going. I'm like, dude, there's no messing around. We can't sit there and we're just gonna buy the cheapest shoes we can. He's like, you got it. We're just gonna get there. I'm gonna park. We're sprinting inside. And we don't have a second to lose because this is gonna be a photo finish. We get into the parking lot and it had rained earlier that morning and there was this giant puddle. And we're like, okay, just find a place to park. And he goes right to the puddle and parks right in the middle of the puddle. And I just lost it, dude. And he loses it. And I'm like, there's always time for a joke. He's like, there's always time for a joke. And he puts it back in drive and just goes. And I remember that was where that phrase was born in my life. I'm sure it's been said before, but that was where it was born in my life. And every time I say it to you, that memory is conjured up in my mind. That very moment.
That's amazing.
Love you, Rob.
Oh man, it's so fun to just think about, laughter. That's the whole subject today, and like just talking about times that we've made each other laugh or made somebody else laugh or they've made us laugh, like immediately lifted my spirit today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we sit down and we're gonna do a podcast. We're gonna be real serious and talk about things and get maybe deep and stuff. But then like we start talking about laughter, and immediately I'm just like, I feel giddy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just does that. It's just like, I don't know, like maybe people listening, maybe they had a bad day. And us talking about laughter and some of these stories, made them laugh, and hopefully it changed their vibe.
I bet you that they're like, when we talked about what's that going to do? There's people who are like, oh, I remember that episode, right?
Right.
Or sometimes, isn't it amazing? Think about this. Have you ever been by yourself and you're just thinking about things in the past and you think about a funny occurrence and you just start laughing all over again? I mean, really, really go into that. I mean, there's a thing about, because that's another thing that fascinates me about humans is our ability to conjure up all these different emotions. You can conjure up sadness. You can conjure up laughter. You can conjure up happiness, like old memories that brought you a certain emotion, and you can kind of relive it. Like it's like a file you're pulling out of a folder that's in your archives. You just pull it out and it's like you read the memory again and you just start laughing all over again.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's nice. Yeah. I was gonna say that's you every time you edit your own footage.
Why you gotta say that? You always say I'm my biggest fan. That makes me want to punch you. I think I have some funny stuff, and that's. But like I said, I scrutinize it, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I'm editing, I'm like, nope, take a 1/10 of a second off that. No, add another 1/5 of a. Oh, there we go. There it is. Like I do scrutinize it because I just the sheer concept of what laughter is. I'm so intrigued by it that I would love the ability to master it. And I think if I was a stand-up comic, I think I might be terrible. I think that there is, like I said, there's an actual skill set there that that's completely over my head, but I also, like I said, I'm on the stones, but maybe one day I'll get that courage.
I couldn't do it because, like you said, I'm mostly funny when I'm not trying to. And if I was standing on a stage where my whole purpose was to be funny, I would definitely fail.
Just don't go up there and don't try. Just go up there and pick up the mic and say,
hey, everybody.
How am I doing?
How's it going? What's going on, everyone? My name is Impulse. Did you say nipples?
Oh, God, see.
Old man in the back.
More context there. Just don't even go into that story. If you know, you know. That's what you need.
Yeah, there you go. We'll plug our other stuff. If you want to, you could have been here for all these funny stories if you had been watching our live streams over on twitch.tv/ImpulseSV or Skizzleman.
Or Skizzleman.
Yeah, go to Twitch and watch us.
You gotta stop plugging.
We stream sometimes. Actually, we were recording this while we were supposed to be streaming because we had to change schedules this week. Oops.
Yeah. Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
I want to ask, and actually, this is a question for the audience. So if you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor and give me your honest opinion on this. So we do animated shorts every once in a while, and we've only done 3 of them because they're, as you can imagine, there's
a lot of work.
So it takes me a little bit to write them. It takes us a pretty short amount of time to record them. But the animation piece, it's going to take Puka a while because that's the real magic, right? Is the animation. So I'm going to be wrapping one up here, right? Another one that I'm writing, which is good. But because we're so crunched on time, one day, and I've kind of talked about this in the past, but we didn't really dissect it, is that would it be cool to have a podcast where that podcast is us recording the audio? Because it does take us about an hour to record the audio for like a 5-minute segment or whatever,
Ooh.
Would it be cool if we used a podcast to record the dialogue for an animated short? And literally like answer your thoughts on that because I don't know if that would be a good. I don't know.
I immediately feel like first thing people are going to think is, yeah, that'd be cool because behind the scenes is always pretty cool. But once I start stepping through like the actual like, oh, here's what's going to be happening, because it's just like anything else. It's like, okay, we record a take, not quite, didn't quite nail the inflection on that. Do that again,
right,
and again,
because
again.
I know what I want to happen,
Right.
and you're such a professional, dude. And so every time we've done it, like you'll say your line, I'm like, no, you're more annoyed with me at this point. You're more annoyed. Be more annoyed. There it is. Good. Okay. You know what I mean? So like there would be a lot of that. And I'm like, is that even fun? Like, I don't know.
Might not be. So everybody can think about it and let us know.
Let us know in the comments. Because
I wonder if that would curve my behavior at all, knowing.
No, I think at first, but you're more of a professional than you think you are. You really, really are. Because during some of the stuff we've done, when I'm writing like your part, I'm like, this is going to make him uncomfortable. And to the point where I actually think he's going to be like, I don't want to do that, but you never do. The only thing you do is give it everything you got.
Yeah.
So trust me, you'll be fine. I'm not worried about that, but I am worried about if that would even be good content. It might be. Let's see what they say in the comments.
See what they say. If maybe we do it as a little extra little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe pop it in there, a little addition.
That could be fun
on a Tuesday or something.
Yeah, we have plenty of podcast ideas. I think that we're both on the same page that like almost nothing's off the table with our podcast, including potentially the live recording of an animated short. All right, cool. All right, let us know what you think. That could be neat. Mosquito.
Could be.
Blood sucking insect.
It's gonna be. I'm sure it's gonna bring lots of laughter.
It could. Who knows?
I'll judge when I see your script.
I know. I got to wrap it up. I got to wrap up that script. I will get on it. I've been busy.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting. I mean, we're always trying to do different things, different projects and stuff, obviously. So it'll be exciting to bring back an animated short. And like, I sometimes I bring them up and people are like, I didn't know this existed.
Yeah.
And then they get to experience them for the first time, which I absolutely love seeing.
Yeah.
Because they've been out there for a while, right? And YouTube doesn't exactly do us any favors with pushing our content.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I'll bring it up in stream. Like, oh yeah, this is, animated short. In fact, one time I started like using them as my breaks, and I need to take a little break in the middle of the stream. I'll just bring up one of the videos and play it. And then people are like, oh, I had no idea this existed. I'm like, yeah, there's more. Go check them out. It's like my parents, they don't really watch Minecraft content and stuff. And so like that was the one thing that they would watch. Like they got really excited about the animated shorts and they would go like tell their friends and my grandma and stuff. Oh, you gotta watch this. This is really cool because like you don't have to be into Minecraft to find them funny. It's just like a cartoon, basically.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you are into Minecraft, it makes it that much funnier because there's certain nuances, right? But if, like you said, you don't have to be. And I gotta do it again. Puka, if you're listening, I gotta do it. Like his genius in this is very, very real, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my objective, so when I write the dialogue and then I write what's happening visually, but it's just words on a paper. It's just me do my best to describe what I'm going for. And his ability to hit the bullseye it's supernatural, right? Mm-hmm. So, and like what comes to mind is when in the episode of The Hunt, right? There was a piece where I wanted you and I arguing over... I'm talking about, you don't know the kind of day this rabbit's had. He can be really upset about something. I'm doing that. And we're going to be talking over each other. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to record my part. You're going to record your part. And then Puka, I need you to put these over each other, but somehow people still need to be able to understand what we're saying. And you got to be doing this as there's impending doom coming with the next mob. Bullseye.
Oh yeah.
He crushed it, man.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Like he's like that. So Puka is our animator and also our editor for a lot of our Minecraft stuff. He is absolutely amazing in what he does. Such a talented dude.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just got an eye. He's got a vision for things I would have never thought of. And real pays attention to like so much detail, like facial expressions and stuff that I would have never thought to even be in the scene, and then he puts it in, and it's like, oh my gosh, that just completely captured the entire vibe of what we were trying to accomplish there.
Yeah.
And if I was doing it, I would never have thought to do that. Like,
crushes it. He's an absolute artist. So a little
Yeah.
shout out for Puka.
Yeah, Puka, you don't go anywhere.
That's what I was. Oh yeah, actually, Puka sucks. He's
not available. He's
you're not
super busy.
interested. This
super busy guy.
What an incompetent moron. Don't worry. He's just we let him work for us out of charity.
Nobody out there try to take our Puka from us.
Yeah, we don't want him being poached. Love you, Pokes. All right, let's wrap up this podcast.
We actually keep him in a cage in the.
Oh, dude. It's a little gimp mask.
Just so he can't be taken.
We throw him a loaf of bread here and there.
Oh, God.
What do we do? That got really silly dark real fast. He's not in a cage.
We'll cut that clip and put it on our canceled channel.
Okay, let's not get canceled. I love this show.
Yeah. No, they won't. They're gonna. The listeners are going to continue to tell their friends and promote us for us, right?
We sure hope so. We love doing this. We want to keep doing it.
Yes. All right. So that seems like a good place to end this one. I had a lot of fun on this one. I laughed out loud more than I thought I would.
Straight up about laughter.
All you had to do is talk about laughing, and we started laughing, so that worked.
I'm sorry about my coughing. I'm not sick. It's just I'm not sick.
I know. I had the same thing. It lingers for a while, and it'll probably be there a month from now.
No, I'm gonna get better. All right, that's it. Thank you for another great podcast, and we'll catch you later.
See you guys later.